Schottler, and I'm going to speak about biological development in the great nature versus nurture debate. This form of development, biological, naturally corresponds with arguments for nature, the natural development of a child's impact on their intelligence. Nature or biology plays a large role in the development of a child, but the research provided by Presley and McCormick also supports the effect of the environment on a student's natural or biological development. We will talk more about that later. The foundations of neurological development start in the womb, about 8 weeks after fertilization. The development of the cerebral cortex does not happen until after birth. This is responsible for, the cerebral cortex is responsible for complex human thought processes. 2 to 3 months after birth, expectant synapses develop. These synapses send signals in the nervous system that respond to typical environmental factors. For example, the visual system is sensitive to light. So you'll shut your eyes if the sun is glaring in your face. Experience-dependent synapses develop from environmental stimulation and are formed at any time in an individual's life. For example, the learning experiences educators recreate in the classroom that will trigger experience-dependent synapses. The time of puberty also affects the child's ability to adjust. Girls who experience early maturation may become stressed and depressed if they are, as Presley and McCormick say, unprepared for the social pressures and experiences related to sexual maturity. On the other hand, boys who experience early maturation this can be positive for their social development. Sometimes neurological development goes wrong. So those early developmental years, and this can certainly be seen in PKU babies. These PKU babies are babies that can't break down phenylalanine substance in prepared food. So this is a chemical in prepared food. PK's intelligence can be impaired due to intervention. The intervention would be dietary restrictions, and babies may have difficulty with short-term memory or self-control. So those are some behavioral and cognitive hindrances of the PKU babies. If PKU is not found until 3 years of age, profound retardation is the outcome. So this can really affect the development of babies if it's not caught, if their environment does not provide the appropriate diet for them. So there are other dietary disorders that also cause this problem. Other problems during development can be due to hereditary disorders and or environmental disruptions. So environmental factors such as injury, disease, etc. can change the biology during the development and will have long-term implications. Additionally, hazards associated with food, so pesticides in the food, water hazards, lead in the water, air, smoke, secondhand smoke can also disrupt the normal organ development. During pregnancy, teratogens are environmental factors that can affect the biological development and range of a person's intelligence during the development of the nervous system. For example, alcohol consumption while pregnant can damage the central nervous system. This disorder, if a mother drinks alcohol when she's pregnant, is called fetal alcohol syndrome, and children with this environmentally triggered disorder may have learning disorders, and potentially it may result in mental retardation. Other disruptions can be malnutrition, and that can affect mental competency. Neurological injury can reduce mental competency, and premature birth can affect respiration and can also lead to hemorrhaging. Dyslexia is a learning disorder that disrupts the child's reading capabilities. So this would be a developmental disorder that isn't necessarily affected by the environment. They may be born with the disorder. And this can be due to brain injury that would, of course, be due to the environment, or developmental issues that have no obvious cause. So, intelligence, hereditary, and environment. There are two terms that you'll need to know for this slide, and they are genotype and the collection, which are the collection of genes we possess, and a phenotype, which is the outcomes of how these genes are expressed. Outside of environmental and biological development, developmental issues, a child's hereditary expressed in their genotype can affect their intelligence. The expression of intelligence depends on their phenotypes. So how the genes a child is given are expressed. So what genes have been expressed. High quality environments in a child's development can largely affect the reaction range of a child's genotype. For example, if a PKU baby is given the nutritional environment, they need to eliminate the chemical that they cannot digest or break down, the baby will not develop mental retardation. But they will develop normal intelligence if they're given this environment. If they're not given the high quality environment and they're not given the appropriate diet, they can develop serious mental retardation. Malnutrition is an environmental factor that affects the development of a child as well. If they are given an environment that provides healthy meals in addition to exercise, they will thrive better than those living with poor diet and exercise. This can affect, their biology. This also brings us back to the experience-dependent synapses and the need for experiences that promote ongoing neurological development. Experience-dependent synapses is dependent on the environment and forms of the child's life. This is what we as educators create, the experience-dependent synapses. So we create the learning environment for them to develop the appropriate neurological responses. So biological development in the classroom, what can we as teachers do? As teachers, we need to provide students with the learning experiences necessary for expressing the best phenotype or the best genetic outcome. We need to create learning experiences that help develop the experience-dependent synapses, and we need to pay special attention to the individual needs of students. The individual needs of these students can help teachers support their own individual learning style and needs. This can also motivate students to learn more by paying attention to their individual needs and providing individual feedback. Student achievement can be tracked, and academic intervention can be implemented to support exceptional learners or learners with special needs, for example, dyslexic learners. Then we can provide extra reading instruction that caters to their specific needs. To further provide high-quality environments for those learners, to further support their own individual genetic makeup. Human, again, coming back to the original argument that we first touched on at the beginning of this section, human biological development gives an insight as to how the biology of a child can affect their intellect and how providing the appropriate environment can nurture the desired biological outcome of a human being. So they are both interdependent. We see a lot of intelligence is, not intelligence, but a lot of development is hereditary, but it's also the way in which those genes are nurtured can develop the desired phenotype.